because I've been trying to get you for the past like 2.5, 3 years on the show.
Really?
Yeah, for 24 and Battlestar Galactica, and now you're in this wonderful show, The Mandalorian. So it's great to have you on the show, and it's just a pleasure to chat with you because your journey, your career, has been incredible. It's like you've never done wrong in the industry in the way that you choose your roles. I mean, before we start chatting about The Mandalorian, how do you choose your roles? What do your roles have to have to tick all the boxes for you, Katee?
I think first and foremost, it has to be something that I feel like I haven't done before, whether that be a genre or the script or the character or even costume or director or the writers, or it has to be something new for me. And then I think on top of that, I have to be sort of confused by the character's journey, and it has to make me question who they are, why they're doing what they're doing, because I don't want to just play myself, right? And so, like 24, we were actually just talking about this the other day. I wanted this character so badly because I found her to be so intriguing, that like this girl who grows up in a small town, how do you end up being a double agent? Like, how does that happen? And I think that was just somebody trying to get out, somebody trying to get out of a small town, somebody trying to not, live, eat, breathe, and die in the place that they were born. And so I wanted to understand that because I identified with that small little piece of her. And I, it's every once in a while you turn something down and take a job that ends up being the right decision. So
yeah,
that was definitely the right decision because I love that.
I mean, I've got to say, I bet you don't miss the working conditions of 24, because obviously it was 24 episodes. It was a long series, and I love how shows now, they're breaking them down to either 10 episodes, 8 episodes. So how different is The Mandalorian compared to, say, working on 24 in the way of the time you were on set?
It's funny. I think those are two really bad examples of the example that you're making, because I think the irony is that I worked less on 24 than I did on Mandalorian. Our hours on Mando, while we're shooting normal hours now, I think one of the beautiful things that sort of side effects of this COVID thing was that studios started realizing that they didn't want to do overtime because they wanted to keep people healthy. And so we started working 12-hour days again, which was absolutely amazing. But, we shot from, I think, September to April. Like, that's a long, and it was 5 days a week. And, just because I'm only on camera for 12 hours doesn't take into consideration the drive to and from work, and then the 2.5 hours I'm in hair and makeup. So it's a long day still. 24 does this beautiful thing called block shooting, which if I could get myself on a show like 24 again, that block shot, I would want to stay there for the rest of my career. So what they'll do is they'll shoot everything in one location for 2 weeks. And then they'll shoot everything in a different location for 2 weeks. So if you're only in CTU, you'll work for 2 weeks straight, and then you have a month off. It's crazy. Wow. It was amazing. I loved working on that show. There would be times where I would be in Mexico, on vacation for a couple weeks, and someone would be like, "Aren't you working right now?" And I'd be like, "Absolutely, getting paid too. This is great."
I mean, a quick question about 24 is that I've met Kiefer Sutherland probably about 6 times now in his concerts and conventions, etc. And I've heard. I've interviewed quite a lot of the stars of 24. But what was he like to work with? Because, everyone's saying he's wonderful. And I know that you shouldn't believe everything that you read in the press, but what was he like from your point of view working on that show?
So I love Kiefer. The last time I saw Kiefer, we literally did a shot of whiskey and, caught up really quick. When I was at work with Kiefer, he was amazing. He gives 110% when he's at work. I think Kiefer gives 110% to everything in his life. And that's probably why you hear some stories. Because when you do things with passion and commitment, that's what happens. I enjoyed him. He and I had an honest repertoire where we could talk to each other and say things that sometimes you wouldn't say to other people because they're too sensitive. And you can say that kind of stuff to him. And so I think that's why we respect each other and get along till this day,
So let's talk about Mandalorian, because literally you've been voicing the character of Bo-katan for literally over a decade in Clone Wars and Rebels. So for an actor to go from voice to screen is practically unheard of. So, I mean, what was the biggest challenges of going from voicing the character to actually bringing her to screen?
I think the biggest challenges are that, when I work in a recording booth, I move a lot. I do whatever I need to do to my face to make the voice sound a certain way. And sometimes that means I need to contort my face. Sometimes that means I need to talk down here because I'm trying to do weird things to lower my voice or change my voice or whatever I, need to do for that character that I'm playing. And my style of acting is very, I mean, there's some subtlety to my acting for sure, but I also love to let the audience know what I'm thinking based on what my face does. So my face moves a lot. It is what it is, sort of my style. It's not Bo. Bo is very still, and that's who she is. And I wanted that to be conveyed. But at the same time, I also needed to recognize that, watching a character not move their face for 8 episodes is like paint dry. So you have to make them more interesting than that. So it was just a lot more thought went into it than the voice. For the voice, my job is to go in and convey what Dave Filoni wants me to convey. It's not about me. It's about him and his vision. When my face is there, when I am actually there inhabiting a character in live action, I have ownership over that. I get to make decisions. I get to stand up for what I want to do. I get to it's just more collaborative. And I love the process. I love both processes. They're completely different. But you're right, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen enough. But, and I've said this multiple times, it's not like I was off making romantic comedies in a corset for the last 20 years. I play these characters. They're in my wheelhouse. It's what I'm known for. So it does make sense that my name was part of the conversation. I don't know if they ever thought of anybody else for the role. I'm sure they did. I'm just lucky that I got out of my own way and didn't scare myself too much to show up to work on day one.
So how did it all happen? I mean, obviously voicing the character, did you get a phone call or was it a meeting, or did you audition? I mean, how did it all come together for you to get that part?
Yeah. So I had, it was a phone call through my manager at the time. And I was on Battlestar at the time. And I was already voicing a character called Bitch Pudding on Robot Chicken. And so Seth and Matt over there were friends with Dave Filoni, unbeknownst to me, or acquaintances with Dave. And Dave had called them to ask them what I was like to work with. And luckily, I'm not a raging bitch. because that's how I got the part. Was they were like, we like her, she's great, she shows up on time, she does her job, she's not crazy, all of those things. And so I did. It was just an offer, and I don't know if the character originally was meant to really exist as long as she did. Certainly not in live action either. So I think that she's just a character that I think people enjoy writing her, and I think that they enjoy her in the universe. So it makes sense that she just keeps kind of showing up.
She is an awesome character. She is definitely one of my favorite. And I've got to say, the great thing, I don't know if it's because I'm a dad now to two girls, but I've become more sort of attracted towards the strong female characters, because for me, my girls are only 5 and 9. So for me, I'm getting excited at the fact that when they grow up and get a bit older, they're going to have some amazing role models to actually watch and see on their screen. So how important do you feel it is to have these strong female leads?
Representation in art and on screen is so important. And I, from the mom of a daughter as well, I want my daughter to see herself through the eyes of characters. I want my daughter to believe that she can be anything that she can dream up, but at the same time, I also don't want my daughter to feel that there are physical limitations to what she can accomplish based on the visual representation of characters. You know what I mean? If she wants to be a dragon, I want her to be able to I want her to feel like she's a dragon, if she wants to be a character from Marvel and be green, I want her to feel like she can be green, because that's just imagination. And, growing up, I wanted to be Bruce Willis. Nobody told me I couldn't, my dad gave me one of his white tank tops, and, I would crawl through cardboard boxes like I was saving the Nakatomi building. That's the imagination of a child. It never occurred to me that he was a man. I mean, I knew he was, obviously, but it never occurred to me that I couldn't be a female Bruce Willis. And so I think that representation is a beautiful thing. And I love seeing strong females represented so much. I also, one of the things that I'm torn about is that, we also have to maintain the art and have characters that are not morally upstanding. Those characters have to exist. Those characters that are terrible human beings have to continue to exist in art, because it's an accurate representation of the world around us, So it's great. I hope my daughter decides to be something other than an actor.
Well, fully enough, my 5-year-old, I named her Kara after Supergirl, because I wanted her to be strong like Supergirl. But I've got to say, as the years have gone on, she's more like Kara Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica. So I think I've got my hands definitely full with that one. I really, really have. But let's talk about your outfits, your costume, your suits on The Mandalorian as Bo-Katan, because the work that they put into those suits are just incredible. They really, really are. I mean, what was it like getting into that suit for the very first time, sort of knowing what she looks like in animation, to actually stand there in front of a mirror and see yourself as the character?
Yeah. It one of the things that we were so consumed with was visually what she was going to look like. That is something that John and Dave are really drawn to, and it's really important to them. And thankfully it is to myself as well. And so we wanted her to fit in the world, of course, not be jarring, not look like she doesn't exist, but also be an accurate representation of the animation. And so it's a matter of, how do you do that? How do you accomplish that? You don't want to change her costume too much. And our goal was to make it look incredibly accurate, but at the same time, we're conscious of the fact that I'm a 3D person and I'm not a flat person. And therefore, I'm a woman with a body and hips and shoulders and all of these things. And so you move things around to make sure that it's aesthetically pleasing and is still accurate at the same time. So the wardrobe department on this show is absolutely amazing. That helmet, that costume is just stunning, and I love it so much. It works too. I have fallen in it, and it absolutely protects me.
Was that
that tube armor serves a purpose.
I mean, I've heard you in other interviews say how uncomfortable at times it was to wear because it was quite weighty. And then I heard in another interview that you was pregnant during one of the seasons. So how did that affect you, wearing that suit? And did they have to, I suppose, adapt it in certain ways for your health well-being?
So I actually didn't carry my daughter. So it's something that I talk about when people ask me about, but we didn't make a statement because we're inherently, private people, but I didn't carry my daughter. My daughter was handed to me for the first time right next to my husband. So it made things much more convenience the wrong word, but I worked through the entire season and we didn't have to alter my wardrobe or anything. We had to alter my makeup because I was so tired all the time. I was definitely exhausted throughout the season. I kept telling them, like, under the wig, they pull your hair back under the wig because they have to put you in a wig cap and it's quite tight under there. And on days I was really tired, I was like, pull it back, ladies, pull it back, because it gives you like an instant facelift. It pulls everything back, and all of a sudden, like, you can't even move your face because you're pulled so tight. And I was like, I love it. It works great. No, it was amazing. It was, I physically wasn't able to carry, and we were blessed to be able to medically be able to use a surrogate, and it changed our lives. My husband and I didn't think we'd be able to have children, and it was absolutely just like the most beautiful. I mean, this, mm-hmm. The moment someone hands you a child, it's your child. It's absolutely, I would die for her. It just so happens it happened at the exact same time that I was working, which was odd because it was, making that work was a challenge. But they, I think I was probably the only person in this industry to show up at work with like a week-old baby in my trailer.
Ta-da!
It's amazing. I spent so much time with her. We have so much downtime on this show that I was with her so much, and it was such a gift. And but yeah, it was awesome.
But I've got to say, it's incredible how the moment the child is in your hands, your priorities in life changes. Literally everything changes, and I'm sure your other half would say the same. Is that literally your hierarchy and like priorities in the way of you would die for them? It's just incredible. It really, really is.
So it really does. Yeah, and it was one of those things where it was like, do you turn down this opportunity, or do we as a family unit make this work so I can experience this opportunity for work? And we did, and we made it happen. But I haven't worked since. The moment that job was over, I've been blessed with the opportunity and to not work for over a year now. And I did that on purpose. I did a little job for like a week away from them, but other than that, I've chosen to not work because my priority is not myself anymore. My priority is her. It's
That's
crazy.
Amazing. It is. It really, really is. And obviously your other half, Robin. I've got to say, I saw a great interview with you and Michael Rosenbaum, and Robin just seems the sweetest guy in the world. Did he get his package from Michael Rosenbaum? because he
He
said
did. It's sitting on the shelf right here, actually. He did. Yeah.
Because I loved the moment when he said he was his favorite character, and I just thought it's really, really sweet. I mean, how much geeking over has he done over you and the role that you've got on The Mandalorian?
Yeah. So much. I don't know how I became so blessed to be loved by somebody who's so genuinely amazing. He seeing the way that he looks at me sometimes, even it has nothing to do with what I do, but just like with pure love is just amazing. It's I don't know, it's so inspiring. Like he sees the best in me at all times, and it inspires me to be that person. And so, he doesn't blow smoke up my ass. He'll tell me, trust me, he'll tell me when he thinks my work could have been better.
Good. Just taking a quick break for a message from our sponsors. So would you like to take home a piece of film history or TV history into your own home? Find your own piece of magic with Prop Store, the world's leading auctioneers of film props, costumes, and more. So check out propstore.com or follow the link in the description of this video. And while you're doing that, why don't you use our special code? Our special code will give you 10% off anything in the Buy Now section. And the code is easy to remember. It's Brian10. That's BRYAN 10, and it's just above the finger, just here. Use that at the checkout to get your 10% off. That's propstore.com. But let's just quickly go back onto the special effects of this show. I mean, everyone's been talking about the volume, which is, pioneer of technology. It cost over $250 million, which I think is a crazy amount of money. But it obviously shows on screen. I mean, what is it like going from, I've got a picture of like a green screen setup here, going from something green screen to the volume, which just is absolutely incredible. I mean, I'm guessing this enhances, your performance, being able to see, these scenes around you.
Yeah. As an actor, you're limited only by your imagination. And that's what the green screen is. The green screen forces you to use your imagination whilst at the same time delivering these performances. And with the volume, there's like zero imagination. It's just, you're literally just there. You're like, it's the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. And it's incredibly freeing but it's like, I don't know. It's like the coolest thing in the entire world. There are no words to explain how phenomenal it is that you can 360 degrees around you, turn in a circle, and everywhere you look is a moving scene that's taking place. You just stand there and watch it, and there's characters moving in the background. There's an ocean. There's a horizon. There are ships flying around. It is absolutely breathtaking.
I mean, it just looks incredible. It really, really does. And also, your story arc over the last 2 seasons have been incredible. Because I've got to say, Bo, to begin with, I didn't know if I would like her, because it was sort of like everyone was, behind Din, but then we've grown to love her so much. I mean, what's been your favorite thing about that story arc? Your favorite moment, your crowning moment?
This was her redemption story. John and I talked a lot about this, that if Bo isn't forgiven, if Bo isn't redeemed by the end of the season, it doesn't work. And so that became my mission, was how do you forgive a person who's unforgivable in their actions? And so it was incredibly difficult, and I wanted to make sure that the audience felt her pain, and they felt her remorse and her guilt and her just utmost desires to be able to go back in time and change the past. I think that when you see genuine remorse in a person who's made a mistake, it makes it easier to focus on who they are now than you do on who they were in the past. And so, that was my goal. And I think that we got there in episode 7. I think we saw glimpses of that as we went through. And I think that those moments on that ship were my proudest sort of the season, really, because I really wanted her to be that genuinely pained, and I wanted it to be subtle, but I wanted the audience to feel it. And I felt we got there. So that was important to me.
I mean, the whole process on set, and I'm sure everyone watching has seen the making of on Disney Plus. The directors have been awesome on this show, and you've got actors like Carl Weathers and Bryce Howard. I mean, have you, wanted to put your hat into the ring and direct episodes?
Have you met actors? We're awful.
It can't be that bad.
I listen, it's hard enough dealing with the ego of one actor in a family. I don't want to have to go to work and deal with a bunch of them. But no, I mean, I can tell when directing is bad, but I don't necessarily know if I would be able to know how to make it good. I don't know if I have an eye for that. The most important lesson, I think, for a director was something that Eddie almost told me years ago. He said, directing's not hard. You just put the camera where the story is. So I do think that if you can figure out and know what the story is, then you can direct. As long as you have a good DP around you and a good script to work from, of course, and there's, and a good crew and good lighting and good multiple things that matter. But I do think that at its simplest form, you just have to put the camera where the story is. And I do believe that I know good stories. So I don't know. I've never really thought about it before, but maybe I would direct. We'll see.
Who knows? Fingers crossed. And I've got to give a shout out to the stunt team. I've got to, because the stunt community, I just think, are like unsung heroes. They really are. And obviously, you got yourself into shape to play the character. How much of the stunts did you do yourself? And when was the moment that you stood back and said, wait a second, let's the professionals get hurt?
So I agree that stunt performers are unsung heroes, and I do everything in my power to make sure that they're recognized, because I will never take credit for work that's not my own. But at the same time, there's a fine line, right? Audiences want to believe that you're doing something. So I try to do everything once, if they'll allow me to do it. This is a really big show. They don't want actors getting hurt. So I'm not allowed to fly, not allowed to do wire work, sadly. And that is my biggest pain, is that I don't get to do wire work, because if you go on a less expensive show, they'll let you do wire work all day long. And so I love wire work, and then I never get to do it. But I say that this show is about making the best character possible for the audience. It's not about me. It's about the audience. It's about Bo-katan. It's about putting the right person in the suit that day with the right expertise to make this character amazing. And this season, had 3 separate stunt women in that suit. Primarily, it was Joanna, who is phenomenal athlete. And she did the lion's share of the stunts. I tried to do everything once, like I said, because that's what it's as an athlete. I was an athlete before I was an actor. I am driven by being physical and doing my own stunts. I love it. I love learning fight choreography. I forced them to let me do a knee slide repeatedly over and over and over again. Knees out of my suit because I had so many times, and I was like, "This is amazing!" And I went home.
I think I've got a picture of that.
My husband was like, "What?" Yeah. My husband was like, "What happened?" And I was like, "It was such a good day at work." I did this so many times that both the knees on my suit broke away and ripped out. That's fun for me. That's like living in the character, and I love that stuff. That final Darksaber fight, I did as much as I could, but that's Jo. She's amazing. She's absolutely amazing, because at the end of the day, it does a disservice to the character and to the audience to put myself in there with an ego when I know someone else can do it better. And that's what it comes down to.
I mean, John has come out publicly and said that season 4 is already written. So what's next for Bo? Are we going to see her again on screen, or is that something that your NDA right now is ticking away? Putting that red spot on your head.
My NDA is super strong. I think my daughter's first words can't even be BoKatan. But no, it you never know, right? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. She's definitely got her hands full on Mandalore, so we'll see.
I mean, I've got to say, it really impresses me to see you in interviews and not let anything slide. How difficult is that to keep secret? I mean, the Luke Skywalker, scenes. There's so many secrets on this show. How hard is it when you're being interviewed and grilled to not do a Tom Holland, as they say?
Yes. So it's twofold. Number one, Luke Skywalker's not in the scenes with me.
Okay.
They had another actor there, and they told me it was Plo Koon, and I believed Dave Filoni because we're friends, and he lied to my face, and that's fine. But that's how you keep secrets. You don't tell anyone. But at the same time, one of the things that I love about what Disney and Lucas have done is they kept these secrets, like these secrets are kept because people genuinely care about the fan experience watching the shows. And so in order to do that, everyone has to be on board and has to care about the viewing pleasure of the people at home. If you don't want them to know something, everyone has to agree from top to bottom not to tell. And it's a testament to people that work on this show that everybody wants to keep the things secret that are important.
And I'm sure they want to keep their jobs, because what a job to have is to work on this show. But I've got to say, the invention of social media, because I can remember, 20, 25 years ago, you couldn't get any spoilers. Literally, you got excited about putting that VHS in and seeing the trailer of an upcoming movie, and that's all you had. And I missed those days because I like the excitement, the surprise. It's just fantastic. I've got a few more questions before we part ways, if that's okay. I mean, so have you liberated any mementos from the show that maybe Lucasfilms don't know about?
No, I have not, because I am firmly aware that you only liberate things when you're done.
That is a good answer. And
if you want to come back, liberate them.
Leave them where they're supposed to be. And I was thinking, because you was a princess of Mandalore, does this officially make you a Disney princess?
Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah, there you go.
Of course it does.
There you go. And then
Disney.
There you go. You're a Disney princess. And looking back over your career, and it's a massive career, and knowing what you know now, what piece of advice would you give yourself back when you were starting out?
I would just tell her to keep going because she knows what she's doing, to continue to trust her gut. But I would also say that expectation is the killer of joy, and to try not to get caught up in what things could be.
Awesome. And the last question, if your life, Katee, was a movie, what title would it have?
Oh, God. I used to say smoke 'em if you got 'em. I thought it was funny. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea yet. I guess I'll know with hindsight when the life is over, right?
There you go. The dog answered.
Try to get your Chihuahua to be quiet. That's the name.
Katee, you've been a great guest. It's been an absolute honor. I look forward to seeing everything that you do in the future. Keep safe and stay super.
Thank you so much. You have a good one.